I want to make a quick video giving a reason to think that Christians and Muslims pray to the same God. And by saying that, pray to the same God, I'm not making any comment about soteriology, that is salvation or right relationship. I'm simply saying that when Christians and Muslims talk about God, when they refer to God, when they address prayers to God, that they are talking about referring to and addressing prayers to the same entity or the same being. So why should one think that? Well, let's give an illustration with barns. So two people are in a conversation, and one person refers to the barn on the edge of town, and the second person says, "Oh, you mean the red barn?" And the first person says, The barn on the edge of town is not red, it's gray." So then they start going back and forth about whether the barn on the edge of town is red or whether it is gray. Now, that appears to be a disagreement between these two people. What is the property of the color of the barn on the edge of town? Is it red or is it gray? That is analogous, seemingly, to Christians and Muslims talking about God. They are disagreeing about the properties of God. One person says God is triune, for example. The other person says God is not triune. One person says God sent Muhammad as his final prophet. The other person says God did not send Muhammad as his final prophet. So there is here a apparent religious disagreement, just like there is a disagreement about the property of the color of the barn. This whole situation entails that there is one God and two people are disagreeing with the properties about the properties of that one God, just like there is one barn and two people are disagreeing about the properties of that one barn. But let's say that, in fact, to go back to the barn situation, there are, in fact, two different barns on the edge of town, and each individual is thinking of a different barn. So they both talk about the barn on the edge of town, and one person says it's red and the other person says it's gray. But in fact, they're not disagreeing at all. Rather, what is happening here is this apparent disagreement, in fact, conceals a mere confusion. The two people are confused about which barn is being addressed. Each one's addressing a different barn, and there is no disagreement, in fact, about the color of the barn because they're just referring to two different barns. If Muslims and Christians don't refer to the same being at all when they talk about God, if they don't address their prayers to the same being, then in fact, when they disagree about whether God is triune or not, and whether God sent Muhammad as his final prophet or not, they're not actually disagreeing about the concept of God at all. They're simply confused. They're talking about two distinct concepts and they're talking past one another. And so this brings us the reason to think that Christians and Muslims, in fact, pray to the same being when they pray to God, is that it seems that what is happening here is a disagreement rather than simply a basic confusion. And that would be a reason to think that Christians and Muslims, in fact, address prayers to the same being when they address prayers to God.